Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, tonight we're going to get started on the final version of Manor Row. Yep, this is it. This is what you've been waiting for. This is what it's all culminated in. And we're going to take a walk down actual Manor Row. We're going to look at every house and every accessory and a lot of different lighting techniques. And so I'm going to forewarn you that if you have a smart device like Google or Amazon, you know what I'm talking about, your smart device that you can speak to. I'm going to be very careful. I'm not even going to say it now to forewarn you, but I'm going to say it a lot in this next segment coming up because I want you to be able to see how we can change the color of the lights, and I just do that through voice command without using my phone. You can certainly use a phone, but I happen to be videotaping this episode with my phone, so it's impossible to do that. So I'm going to be doing a lot of speaking to my personal assistant, which will probably trigger your personal assistant. So I apologize up front. We're only going to say it about 32 times. So you may want to put it on mute or move away from it or put some headphones on to watch this video. Your call, but you have been warned. So with that, let's take a look at the completed version of the 2025 edition of Manor Row. Okay, so here's the finished Manor Row. This is, in my opinion, this is much better than the 2021, I think, 2021 or 2022 edition. This is the 2025 edition. You guys saw the tutorials on this, or at least I hope you did. This is the final segment of this. And so we're going to show it fully set up and displayed. Now, eventually I will do a music video for the 2025 Manor Row, but let's take a closer look. I've got the hutch lights completely up 100% so you can see everything. But this is sort of what we're looking at. We'll start on this end. This was the first base that I created, the first side of the base. So this was back in tutorial number 1 and number 2. But it's all outfitted now with the houses and the shrubbery and the accessories. And we've got the Victorian house. We've got Grimsley's. I replaced the light in Grimsley's with just a purple LED light that it's like a C9 bulb, like a Christmas light bulb. To have it look like that instead of the sound system that comes with it. I have that. I don't like it as much. We've got the garage, and then we've got Hazel's haunted house there. I put a green LED light in that house. I think it looks better that way. And then that's the first base. That's the first 4-foot section. And so you can kind of see the road and the sidewalk. We've got starting here, and we kind of cut off right here. You can see that's the cutoff going into the cemetery, but we've got the Hocus Pocus accessories there. That's Danny Goes Trick-or-Treating or whatever that's called. We've got some of the Department 56 dogs. We've got some accessories up in the yard. We've got the spooky wrought iron fence sitting up in the yard. I wanted to carry that theme throughout. We got big old Hazel sitting back there. Very cool figure. Driveway looks really good. All the shrubbery there. I've got tutorials on how to do those shrubs if you haven't seen that at all. Then we got some older Department 56 trick-or-treat kids that just are so nostalgic and cool. Kind of going up into the house there. We've got the big 12-foot tall skeleton there. We've got Department 56 piece of, raking the yard. We've got Frankenstein and his bride. We've got some more dogs, and then my favorite of all time, Department 56. And this is a porcelain ceramic piece. This is Trick or Treat Kids, I believe, is the title of it. It is absolutely phenomenal. You can still find these on eBay, relatively inexpensive considering what it is. And then we've got, this is one of the later ones. This was only a year or two or so old, and this is, gathering leaves in those big trash bags. And we always put the street signs up so you can see that. But I think the overall feel of this looks pretty good. The sidewalk looks good. The road is dirtied up just to my liking, and we've got the street lights. I do see one street light that is not working like it should down here, but we'll fix that. This is a very bright light under this hutch. And so we'll continue to move down here and look at it all. And then I'll show you what I like about being able to use the lights. These are Hue lights. It's a Hue strip light. They've been down here forever, under the hutch forever, but I love the way they look. Okay, so we move into the cemetery piece. This is the 2-foot section, not stacked. It's just 1 inch thick all the way around. Love the way it turned out. Kind of in the road, we've got the Halloween parade from Department 56, an older piece, but just an amazing Halloween piece. And again, I found all this stuff on eBay. We've got the spooky wrought iron gate, the wrought iron fence, kind of fencing in the cemetery. And then we've got the moon that obviously we can change colors of the moon. We've got the dark forest trees in there. And then everything in the cemetery is all thanks to Perry and Mini Creation Studio. Every piece of this is from his Etsy store. As a matter of fact, I switched out this piece for the video piece that you saw just the other day on his new stock. And so that's sitting in the very front of that now. And you can kind of see, especially with the lights up. Yeah, let me back up before I knock some of this stuff over, but just how cool that piece looks sitting there. It's just, it's absolutely perfect. It goes great there. So I think the cemetery looks pretty good. Before, on the old Manor Row, we had the pumpkin patch here, and I love the pumpkin patch. I'll be honest with you, I like the pumpkin patch more than I liked the cemetery. However, since we moved the pumpkin patch and everything onto the fall display that's going to be in the kitchen, I wanted to do something a little different out here, and you know how I love the cemetery. So this is what we got for Manor Row for the foreseeable future, and I think it looks just fine. And then we come on to the second base. This is the base that you saw me build, but you didn't see quite finished. I think you saw almost finished, and I said we'd show it as we were putting it together. But here's one of my favorites, if not my all-time favorite, Department 56 manor or mansion, and this is Mordecai's mansion. You got the doghouse for Killer, and then you've got Mordecai and Killer out in the front yard, probably yelling at the parade as it goes by that just makes too much noise, and he's grumpy and grouchy and just doesn't want anything to do with it. And as we continue down the road, we've got some older figures from Department 56, part of the Trick or Treat Kids all the way down here. We've got, and again, I don't remember what most of these are called, quite honestly, but there's another accessory of carving a pumpkin and kind of stitching together a costume, and just a family being a family there in the yard, which is very cool. We got Gravely, we got Ghastly's Haunted Villa sitting right here. And we've got Ghastly out in the yard, who is always grumpy. At least he looks to be always grumpy. And so that has got a yellow. And so back to Mordecai, that is another blue, very bright LED light in that house. I love the way that looks versus the normal sound box, which I do have, and they both work. I like the lights, I like this better. And then in Ghastly's, we've got a very yellow LED light in there. Then we've got the toilet paper kids who are mischievous, and that's why probably Ghastly is all sorts of upset and running out of the house like a big monster after these kids. And you can kind of see the tree up there. They obviously have already tackled that tree. It looks like they're getting ready to move on to Gravely Estate over here, which is another one of my favorite pieces. And so that's, we've got a couple of those bag pumpkins out there. We've got the other piece of the accessory over there, which is the wheelbarrow with the dog kind of standing up on it. We've got another street sign down there. We've got a newspaper zombie looking kid out there trying to tell you that it's doom and gloom in Manor Row. We've got a lot of this stuff is Trick or Treat Lane, but Trick or Treat Lane and Manor Row sort of go hand in hand when you're trick or treating. And so we've got the Snoopy house there for the treats. We've got one of the later versions of some Trick or Treat Kids. This came out a couple of years ago from Department 56, as did this piece here. And so just a mixture of all of this stuff into Manor Row this year, which I love the way it's turned out. It's very nostalgic to me. And it's fitting. You can see the fence in the back and how that turns out. It sort of blends in with the background, so it doesn't stand out as much as I had wanted. And this is a background that you guys have seen this before. I've got a few pieces of this, but this is the infamous Joann Fabrics. Looks like some spooky trees back material cloth, and I bought a whole bunch of it when I first went several years ago, in anticipation of using it for a lot of my displays, because to me it's just the perfect backdrop. And so I just hope it lasts because, as you guys all know, and we're all sad, that Joann's is no longer in business. So I don't know where we'd get anything like this now. But you can kind of see how that all fits into the back and so on. So what we can do tonight, you guys have seen the video. If you haven't seen the video, if you're newer to the channel, go back and watch. I did an automation video on how we've turned most of our home into somewhat of a smart home, to include all of the trick-or-treat villages that we set up, especially with everything's on a timer that is voice controlled or just time controlled. It comes on every day, in our case at 4:30 in the evening, and goes off every night at 10 o'clock. And so you don't have to think about it, you don't have to worry about it, it just happens. But we do have to change the color of the lights, and if we want to change the color of the moon, we've got to do that as well. So let me show you the way I like to kind of set this up, and we'll back up just a little bit so you can kind of, I don't have to scream at our electronic devices here. And I apologize ahead of time if you've got one of those devices sitting around you may want to turn your volume down, or because it'll set it off, I'm sure it will. But hey, here's how we do this. Alexa, turn the dining room hutch lights to 50%. So we're going to dim them down a little bit. You saw that. I never really leave them at white. So I like more of a sunset feel. And you'll see how this changes. So we turn them orange. And then for a nighttime feel, I turn them to blue. And this is why these lights are so incredibly cool. You don't have to have hue. You've got Govee. You've got just a whole different mini branch to choose from. But as long as you can control them and turn them colors, that's what I like. So here's more of a sunset picture. Alexa, turn the dining room hutch lights to orange. Okay, so now we've got more of a darker sunset feel to it. Changes the whole village around quite a bit. So as you come back this time, the houses are a lot more well lit, as far as it's only 50% of its illumination capacity there. So you can kind of see the way that the houses now look. So lighting plays a big part in your vignettes and your villages. And this video should show you that just by looking. I mean, look at Helga's or Hazel's haunted house, and just the green glow to that. Now that is a resin building, and it does have quite a bit of bleed through, but I think it looks amazing because it's sort of a green tinted house. And that's why I wanted to put the green LED in there to help it. Since it's going to bleed through, you might as well bleed through in the color of the house. You can see how the moon looks in the graveyard. Now we can dim that down, we can brighten that up, we can change the moon's color. As a matter of fact, if you, and I've got the remote control here in a drawer. The only bad part is the remote control now, you've got to get really close, and I'll show you that. But let's turn the moon to more of an orange color. So I've got to get it right behind it almost, and then turn it to an orange color. Now it's blinking, it looks like it's blinking in the video. That's just the frequency of the LED lights. I promise you it's not blinking here, but it changes the whole ambiance of the moon. So if you were questioning having this moon, there's so many cool things that you can do with this moon, and this is just one of them. It's changed the colors of the moon. Let me dim it down a little bit and see if that helps to change the frequency of it. And maybe that's the wrong one. Nope, it seems like it makes it actually worse. And we'll leave it about midway, but that's what the moon looks like. I know it's blinking pretty heavily in the video up close, but that's what it looks like. It looks like a very orange moon rising from behind those trees. And then as we get down to the road level and continue to kind of walk down the street, you see how the orange light just illuminates on all the figures and everything else, and just really makes them pop and stand out. We get back up into Mordecai there with the purple lighting there, the blue lighting. It matches the doghouse, and the doghouse is a factory installed LED from Department 56. So I wanted to try to match that to the best of my ability, and I think we did a pretty good job there with matching the lighting capability of that. Continue back down the street as we look at the Gasly with the yellow lights in there. Almost matches the street lights, which is a pretty cool. Just a coincidence. It looks pretty cool, but you can see the folks back there this time with the pumpkins, carving the pumpkins and putting the costumes together, and just how cool they look under that orange light. All the trick-or-treaters look good. So this is more of a twilight versus a night. We're going to look at a night here just in a half a second, and then as we continue down the rest of the street. And so now we can back up just a little bit and kind of take a long look down this direction, and we're going to change it now to a blue color. Alexa, turn the dining room hutch to blue. Okay, so now we've got blue, which to me is more of a dark setting. We could dim the lights down a little bit more if we wanted to. Alexa, turn the dining room hutch lights to 25%. So we dimmed them down again to a very dark color. And so let's just take a far away look. I'm trying not to show you some of the other house. We're saving it for the video. We did get our Christmas tree or our Halloween tree set up today with the Haunted Mansion theme with the Hallmark ornaments that you guys have seen. And it's absolutely it's just beautiful. So you'll get to see that when you tune into the home 2025 home tour video. But it looks really good, and we're getting there. But let's start back down here again. This time a little bit different color. This is blue at night, and so you see the difference in the brightness of the Victorian house is much brighter. The house itself is brighter. The little luminaries out on the front porch are well lit and kind of shining down on the walkway there. The skeleton looks really cool at night. The street lights are illuminated very well now. You can see those, and the garage with the headlights there. And then you guys know that I am always a huge fan of the movie It and Pennywise. I mean, if anybody's watched my channel more than 5 minutes, you know that's my thing, right? And so I always try to hide Pennywise somewhere in either Manor Row or Trick or Treat Lane. And he's always hidden in the back of a house at night. It's dark. And he's very hard to pick out. You probably saw him when the lights were up. Potentially you saw him standing back there. But at night, if I never told you he was there and we just kind of went from Grimsley's to the garage to Hazel's, you might miss him. But now you're not going to miss him because you know he's creepy and he's behind that house checking out the big old Hazel right there. And more importantly, these trick-or-treating kids right here is really who he's checking out. But you can see the difference in the illumination at night. It's almost like there's a glow from the moon that's illuminating the trees like a full moon. Go figure, we have one. And again, let me get the remote control. Oh, it's in my pocket. We'll change the moon this time to a blue color. And it's still flashing a little bit, but as we get farther back, you'll see it just changes the whole ambiance of that moon coming up. So such a versatile piece to have in your trick-or-treat lane or your Manor Row or just any kind of vignette. especially in the graveyard. Now look at the difference in the graveyard under the darker light. This camera, again, as you guys know, does a great job at picking up light, but it's pretty eerie just looking at it, standing where I'm standing just with the naked eye. It's a little bit darker than this, but it's got this hue cast all over it in a shade of blue, and then the moon kind of helps to cast that even more so. And then, obviously you can't have a full moon without having a werewolf deep in the woods who's kind of overlooking the graveyard and professing his loneliness or whatever he's doing up into the air and screaming. And that's got to be a scary thing to hear at night, especially in a place like this. And so he's got an eerie green glow to him. The show's a little bit better on the video than in real life, but in real life it looks really, really cool. Looks cool in the video, as you see as well. And then as we continue down the street for the last time, we see the difference in Mordecai. We see the difference in the street view, kind of looking up at the houses. And the street lights just really give off a good glow at night. They help to light up a little bit of the sidewalk, not too much. The overhead lights do that quite a bit. And then down to the end of the street here. But it's just a whole different feeling depending on what light setting that you use. And the good part, again, about these lights is you can get so much out of them. You can change them to just about any color in the rainbow. I mean, we could go yellow, we could go purple, we could go green. As a matter of fact, I haven't done green, and so let's just see what green looks like. Alexa, turn the dining room hutch lights to green. Okay, so we've got a green look. Now that really cast an eerie shadow on top of that moon there, but it almost looks like a stormy look, like a green, how the sky kind of gets green before a big old thunderstorm. So, I mean, you could just 100 ways you could do this. Alexa, turn the dining room hutch lights purple. And this will be the last one. And so now you can go into a purple, and it's very similar to the blue, just a little bit different. But you can kind of see the way that changes your entire village based on what look you're going for. So hopefully you've enjoyed this and this tour down Manor Row. I certainly love the display. I think it looks very good, especially where it sits in our home. We'll kind of back around over this way, kind of get up over top of the kitchen or the dining room table here. But so, I mean, from a far distance, and this does a very good job at picking this up, but that's kind of what we're looking like. That sits in there just perfect. That is a 10-foot display. And you can see, let's turn the lights back to white. Alexa, turn the dining room hutch lights white. Okay, so it's low, but they're back to white. And you can kind of see the difference here. I mean, we are right on, just kind of focus down here, we are right on the edge of the hutch. And if you notice, everything is right along the edge, all the way down, seamed together fairly good, all the way down to this part here. We've got about, I don't know, maybe 2.5 inches or so on this side and a very similar amount on the other side. So we're just shy. That's why it's important when you're planning to do enough planning and measuring to make sure that you can hide all of your cords with your surge protectors and everything else. Behind that cloth is where they're at. They're behind this village. And so if you kind of zoom in, and it's very difficult to do that, but you can't really see, but they're behind the village and then behind the cloth. So doubly out of the way, nobody's ever going to see a cord at all, which helps to be, helps this to be more believable as a village, I suppose. But anyway, that's what it looks like. I wanted to give you a good look at it as we have set it up in our home. There'll be another video coming to some music, and we always finish our vignettes by doing a music video to them. So that's coming here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I wanted you to be able to see it. Okay, well, hopefully you've enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed videotaping that for you. I am so pleased with the way this turned out. Is it perfect? No, none of my villages are, but I'm very pleased with the way it turned out. I think it's very classy. I think it's very nostalgic. I love the way the sidewalk and the curbing and the roadway, the driveway, and the big blocks that are grouted into the walls there. I love the way it all turned out. I love the accessories and just every piece of it. I think it looks really, really good. I do miss the pumpkin patch, like I said. However, the pumpkin patch is going to be alive and well, and you're going to see that in our fall display that we created last year for our kitchen area. So we're still going to have the pumpkin patch display, just not in the same location. The graveyard is a great substitution. You've got all the pieces from Mini Creation Studio, the Etsy store, that just add so much ambiance and just nostalgia, really, to that old cemetery that sits in the middle of an old historic street with all these old homes that used to be pristine, that have been sort of run down and dilapidated. One's actually got Pennywise standing behind it, so you know it's not a good portion of town anymore. Used to be. Kids still go there to trick or treat because I have heard, at least that's what I understand, they still give out full-size candy bars on Manor Row. So I want all of my villages to tell a story, and I think we've hit a good story with Manor Row 2025. So, hey, like always, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It helps me out personally. It helps the channel to grow. And if you know folks that love this stuff like you and I do, share this video with them, allow them the opportunity to partake and perhaps create their own Manor Row. Maybe create their own YouTube channel, and we can all learn from them at some point as well. I appreciate you tuning into this one. I'm glad it's in the books, and I'm glad it's set up. So we've got a few things coming next, and so until next time, take care of yourselves. God bless each and every one of you, and we'll talk to you again real soon.